Hey guys, this is Illusion PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading 2 Minutes by Angela98. The summary is, she loves Stephanie. She will not let Stephanie feel that hollowing guilt. Alright, without further ado, let's hop right in. Oh my god, Steph says, and Cass didn't need to look to feel the distress radiating from her. She's said, oh my god, 3 times now. It's the only thing she's said since she jumped off her bike, each time more choked and horrified. Cass wants to look at her, wants to hold her and comfort her. But there is a man on the ground dying, and she can't look away. She doesn't understand it. She can't. They were chasing a traffic full of guns that 2 Faces men were smuggling through Gotham, an ordinary bust. Then 2 men climbed on the roof of the truck and began shooting. Not unusual either. Cass wasn't even worried about Steph getting hit, both Batgirls well used to ducking and weaving from choppy, poorly aimed gunfire at this point. And then, the older man, big and muscled, he grabbed the lankier gunman and threw him right off the van, right onto the road in front of them. Cass saw it coming. The second he grabbed his fellow gunman, she could see what his arm was going to do. And she braked, with her typical borderline inhuman reaction to speed. But Steph... Cass yelled out to stop. Of course she did. But Steph was only human. The second the smaller henchman was thrown, she swerved and pressed the brakes, but it was too late. The taller man's throw had been deliberate, much better aimed than any of his shots tonight. His colleague hit the front of Steph's bike with a sickening crunch, and Cass remembers the sound just like she remembers her own screams of horror. Now, here they are, on the side of the road with a man 2 minutes away from dying. Cass doesn't have great first aid knowledge. A few lessons and her own unique body reading abilities are what she's working with. Steph has experience, has training. Cass watched as she moved around the man, turning him on his side, analyzing his injuries. She's known the truth the whole time, but she waited and let Steph work anyway, hoping for a miracle. Steph isn't working anymore. She's just staring at the man, side by side with Cass. 1 minute. That's how long he has to live. They've called for help, called for anything that could save him. Oracle's voice had been heavy, even through the voice modulator, when she said there was no one free to get there in time. Cass finally wrenches her eyes away from the dying man. Steph is watching him, trembling with tears in her eyes. There is a look of terror behind the tears, a fear Cass is intimately familiar with. One she never wanted any of her loved ones to feel. In 50 seconds, Stephanie Brown will understand the feeling Cassandra Cain did at 8 years old. Watching a man dying and understand, despite all arguments and logic people present, that it was your fault. That is not something Cass would wish on her worst enemy. It is most definitely not something she wishes for the girl she loves to experience. They're alike in many ways, but their differences are just as precious to Cass as their similarities. No human should have to go through this. Steph didn't know she only had 45 seconds left. She's a better healer, but Cass will always be able to understand the body in ways no one but Shiva can. She tried calling for her biological mother, no answer. Cass can't say she's surprised. She's already deep in debt with that particular relationship, all out of favors. 30 seconds. The man is dying. All Cass wants is to save him. She wants to stop time, to take him away until people with healing hands can work magic or science to keep him breathing. But Oracle said that no help is coming, and if there's one person she trusts to have exhausted all options, it's Barbara. There is nothing Cass can do to save him. All her body reading can give her is the knowledge of when the light is likely to leave his eyes. Stephanie is crying now, shaking and crying and keening a horrible grief-filled noise. It breaks through Cass's shock and denial, filling her with a deep sadness. Not grief, not yet. There's still 20 seconds before she has to give in and start grieving. 19 seconds for a miracle to occur. Stephanie will be haunted by this for the rest of her life. Cass knows that she herself is not normal about death, that her reaction to any and all death is extreme, even among most vigilantes, but she knows for sure that this isn't something Steph can walk away from the same as she was. Even if it's not quite as life-shattering as Cass's first kill, it's close enough to wreck her, close enough to fill her with guilt and horror and disgust at herself, at the man who threw his colleague, at the world and at humanity. All those negative emotions that Cass spent years carrying with her, even if she ran millions of miles around the world. Steph will experience them in 10 seconds. It's a jail sentence with no defined end time. Just you and your mind in the moment the light leaves his eyes are playing constantly over and over. 8 seconds. Steph looks like she's about to throw up. Cass can see it setting in, the weight of it all. 6 seconds until she's doomed, and there's no miracle in sight. 5 seconds. 4. Steph still doesn't know. There's still a glimmer of hope in her eyes, praying for the impossible. 3. 2. They're out of time. This man is dead, and Steph will forever be a killer, and all Cass has done is watch. Useless and motionless. 1. Cass reaches forward and snaps the man's neck. Stephanie screams. Cass doesn't flinch. She looks down at the man, memorizing his face, the horror and fear and grief on it. He knew his time was up, and yet he still hadn't been ready. Cass stole that 1 extra second from him, and she will punish herself for the rest of her life and carry his face in her mind just like she carries all her kills. Right back to the Faisal in the office. She is cursed, damned, evil, trying and failing to be good, to be human. Some nights it's a success when she can blend in. Tonight she can't. It's not a success. But it's something else as well as a failure. A thing Cass has no word for. No name. What did you do? Steph gasps out. The fear has turned to shock and horror. Good. I killed him, Cass replies, voice steady as she gently reaches over and closes the man's eyes. Cass. Steph says her name slowly, like she doesn't trust that the woman in front of her is her best friend. It stings, but Cass knows it's better than the alternative. Cassandra, why did you do that? Because I'm a killer. Cass meets her eyes head on. No tears or shaking pupils. And you're not. She sees Steph's face morph as it clicks, shock to relief, back to horror, then to anger, and then sadness. But not the expression Cass fears most. Steph will never wear that expression as long as Cass is alive and able to do something about it. You know it doesn't work like that, Steph says, far more gentle than Cass deserves. That scumbag killed him the second he threw him off the truck. I killed him by not braking fast enough. You snapping his neck doesn't change any of that. He could have lived. It's an easy lie to say, because even though there's only 1 second left, Cass still believes it's true. He could have lived despite what the man did and what happened with the bike. But I killed him. Me, not you. Steph doesn't believe her. Cass can see it in her shoulders and the curve of her mouth, but there's also hesitation in the way her brow crinkles. Confusion in her clutched fists. She doesn't know he only had 1 second left. She understands what Cass had done, but she doesn't know for certain just how close Cass left it. Probably can guess it was the last second, but Cass will never confirm that. She can't. As long as that second exists, there was still a chance. Still hope the man could have been saved, still a beat where something could have happened to change his fate and Stephanie's. Cass interfered. She moved, and now the man is dead. She is the killer, and Stephanie is not. It's as simple as that. It's as complicated as that. This death will still haunt Steph. Cass has no doubt about it. There is guilt rushing back in every moment that passes. Steph's spine curving as they sit in silence at the side of the road. Steph knows Cass. Knows she wouldn't have done it if she believed there was even the most narrow chance of a miracle occurring. Cass is a creature made of guilt. It stole her soul when she was a little girl, hollowed her out deeper than the hunger as she ran, but she is more than that now. She has love. The guilt has not lessened, not really, but it's changed its form. A different shape in her body. There's room for coexistence now. She loves Stephanie. She will not let Stephanie feel that hollowing guilt. She cannot save or fix everything, and she can't accept that. But she can handle the harsh reality slightly better nowadays. Less like a tsunami crashing over her body and more like a pit in her stomach that will never truly fade away. You shouldn't have done that. Stephanie is angry now. Cass expected that. It's done. Cass replied. There's nothing else to say. Why? Stephanie spits. Because of course she does. What gives you the right? Cass could walk away. She should. She definitely would have when she was younger. When she wasn't as comfortable with this. Love and bonds and relationships outside of utter devotion to a parent. She's older now. She can speak clearly and use more words than she ever would have dreamed of back in the day. But she still prefers to keep it short and simple. People talk too much. A few words are normally all that's needed to say everything. Because I love you, she answers. Stephanie's glare doesn't diminish. If anything, it gets stronger. Cass meets her gaze with a calm stare, utterly unrepentant. "Fuck you," Stephanie whispers. Cass deserves that. Deserves worse. Deserves cruelty Steph will never give her. She stands up and holds out a hand. Their siren is getting closer. They can't be here when the police arrive. Oracle will already be planning how to spin this, coming up with media headlines that will make Cass sick to even look at. Let's go home. Steph is furious and heartbroken and sick, and the same nausea Cass feels so deeply in her bones. There is no forgiveness to be found there, not for herself and not for Cass. But there is the beginning of an understanding. The reality that life didn't end for both of them when this man died, even if part of Cass wishes hers had. They have to keep moving on, have to react to everything and feel everything and learn to live with every terrible emotion this night created. She takes Cass's hand, and together they begin the long walk towards the sunrise. Alright guys, and that is the end of 2 Minutes by Angela 98. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next chapter.